I ask that you hear my words and please interpret them with your own beliefs and understanding. Rotary is dedicated to the advancement and support of this world's youth. Supporting their efforts and celebrating their successes is Rotary's commitment to our shared future. By encouraging, mentoring, and empowering our youth today, we are creating a legacy that will allow Rotary to continue its mission to see that all men and women of this world are given the opportunity to lead their lives in health, safety, and prosperity. Let us give thanks. Gracious hosts, accept our thanks for this glorious day and all its blessings. Guide and direct our club, its leaders, and our every action. Especially bless this speaker today that we hear from, as her achievements and foresight are far beyond her years. Bless our fellowship today, and most especially thank you for this food and the hands that have prepared it to nourishment of our bodies. Grant that each of us may embrace our responsibility to our Rotary Club, Rotary International, and our community and to our country. Amen.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. I love to see all the guests that we have today and kind of have a full schedule, so kind of jump right into it. And actually, today is National Football Hangover Day. So not sure how many of you fit in this category, but ever since 1967, football fans across the country have participated in the most watched football event in America. Whether you stayed up to celebrate your team's big win, stayed up mourning your team's loss, or because you're a Taylor Swift fan and you just had to watch the game, I think hopefully this is last year we have to deal with that, you're likely hungover. So hopefully you're recuperating and got your full stomach, and this afternoon will go way better for you. So with that, we have Secretary Lynn and Secretary report.
Thank you, President Courtney. We have quite a few guests today, and that's great news. We'll start with Melanie Garcia from the podium, introducing her guests.
Hi, the guests that I have today are both my guests and the guests of our speaker. First, we have Brian and Sarah Meshew, who are the parents of our speaker, Izy. We also have Barry Romick and Robin Wisner at the same table, who are special friends of the family. At this table, we have Julie Hartzler, the Executive Director of Includability, and Jenny Garrett, the Development Director for Includability, and Trevor Dunlap, who is the Executive Director of Camp Nahop and the Nahop Center for Experiential Learning, but today he's here in the capacity of the Community Foundation, where he is the Director of our Youth Foundation program and worked with our speaker last year.
And I have one guest. I'd like Corey Peterson to stand. Corey is the Senior Account Executive at Lind Enterprises. Welcome, Corey. Peggy Schmitz has a traveling microphone, and we'll start with Matt Martin.
My guest here today is Tom Allen. Stand up there. Tom is a detective at Copley, resident in Morville.
Joe Zucker.
My guest today is Brianna Coates. She's an community engagement director at people. Sorry, that's me. Legacy Harrison.
And Bonnie Hall.
It's my pleasure to introduce Kevin Leatherman. He's the superintendent at Norway Schools.
We have three announcements from the podium: Chris Pycraft, Joy Schmitz, and Tom Rumbaugh. And while they are coming to the front, a reminder, tomorrow is the next Great Decisions program. It's Can the U.S. Support Political Stability Abroad? Reflections on the State and Civil Society in East and West Africa. So again, that is at, is it Scheide Music Hall? And that's Tuesday, February 13th, tomorrow at 7:30.
Thank you, Secretary Lynn. I'm back to talk about Every Rotarian Every Year. Introduced our annual program last week. And as you may remember, for those of you who were here, our club has surpassed $1 million in total giving over the life of the club to Rotary International's foundation. Our request is that you participate in this program by contributing $100 every year to Rotary International. This helps support the club, Rotary International's programs, district programs, and local grants. In addition to all the good that your money can do around the world, Rotary also recognizes donors who have contributed $1,000 over your life, whether you're a Rotarian or you're not, as a Paul Harris Fellow. This club has over 50 active Paul Harris Fellows, and every $1,000 you contribute over your lifetime, you add another Paul Harris designation. So while most of us don't give for the recognition, there is some anyway, and we have a lot of very generous members, and I encourage all of you to join them as Paul Harris Fellows by making your contribution every year. There are forms up front with Lynn if anybody wants to make a pledge today, and I appreciate those of you who have already responded by reply mail. Thank you.
Flag maintenance. We just completed our first 2 sessions for maintaining the flags last week on Wednesday and Saturday. And thank you to all the volunteers that helped out there. We're in pretty good shape, but we still have 2 great big piles of flags that we need to go through and replace and straighten the poles and so forth. If you missed last week, great news. We've got some other opportunities coming up. Saturday, March 2nd from 9 to 12. That's Saturday, March 2nd. We'll be planning another session. And on Monday, March 4th from 4 to 6 will be another session. So we'll be sending out an email. You can sign up there or feel free to come up and talk to me if you want to sign up for any of those sessions. Thank you.
As your reward for helping with flag maintenance, we're hosting a wine event March 7th. So later on that week, you can indulge. But for a moment, if you'll just imagine seafood and sunsets in Provence, fresh fruit spiked with citrus, flavors of strawberry and rhubarb, and the scent of sage. These are just some of the tasting notes for one of our wines at the 2024 World of Wine and Bourbon Tasting Event. And that event is just 3 weeks away, like we mentioned. It's on March 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Creston Event Center. And if you haven't purchased your tickets yet, now is the time. We'd like for everyone to have a ticket, and tickets are $20 for Rotarians, $20 for Rotarians, spouses, and partners, and free for non-Rotarian guests. Also, tables are available. So if you're coming as a group, up to 8 people can sit at a table and have reserved seating for $300. This event is our club's way of coming together to celebrate our members and expand our view of the world in a fun way. Phil has selected some incredible wines, and Brian Boyer has picked out some exclusive bourbons. And alongside those tastings, we'll have an all-natural, sustainably grown, small production wine, and an expertly crafted and sophisticated non-alcoholic wine. Several of your fellow Rotarians have also donated some of their favorite bottles that you can bid on in our silent auction. And food pairings, both savory and sweet, will be abundant. So please click the link in the weekly club email to purchase your tickets as soon as possible. And there are volunteer opportunities too, so pouring some wine, talking about some tasting notes, or greeting at the door. So if you're interested in that, please come see me. Thank you.
Great. All right. So lots of opportunities and lots of things coming up. So with that, I would ask Peggy Schmitz to come up to the podium, and she's going to give our next Rotary Wise.
Good afternoon, everyone. My assignment today is to talk about what we shouldn't talk about at Rotary. I'm going to give you a hint. The verboten topics are the same topics that we're advised not to discuss over Thanksgiving dinner with our relatives. Why? Because a lot of us have very strong personal feelings and beliefs when it comes to these topics. And some of our own family members have different but equally strong personal beliefs and feelings about these topics. And it's been said that many a lovely dinner has allegedly been spoiled by contentious arguments among loved ones about those topics. On a more serious note, many a war has been fought over these issues, and sadly, several of those wars continue to rage as we speak. If it is not evident what I'm talking about today, that we shouldn't talk about at Rotary, are religion and politics. From its humble beginning in 1905, when four Chicago businessmen with diverse backgrounds got together to form the first Rotary Club so that they could exchange ideas with each other and form lifetime friendships, Rotary has always been an intentionally non-religious and non-political organization, focusing instead on the core principles of humanitarian service, the encouragement of high ethical standards in all vocations, and the advancement of goodwill and peace around the world. Notice that I did not say that Rotary is anti-religion. To the contrary, Rotary respects both the religious and the non-religious beliefs and preferences of each of its members and guests. It simply does not advocate or endorse any particular religion or religious belief. It is for that reason that Rotary International has opted to convene its board and committee meetings with a simple moment of silence. And they also, Rotary International also traditionally opens the international assemblies and conventions by inviting everyone to silently seek divine guidance or peace, each in his or her own way. It's also for that reason that in this club, we strive to avoid the risk of offending or alienating anyone attending our meetings by insisting that our invocations do not incorporate or reference the beliefs or practices of specific religions or denominations. Note that this club has stopped short of adopting the Rotary International practice of having only silent invocations because our members, thank you, John, have demonstrated the ability to offer some truly beautiful expressions of gratitude and very meaningful, inspirational, and thought-provoking meditations that are devoid of any specific denominational references. I hope we will be able to continue doing that. Similarly, when it comes to politics, we've always maintained a general policy against taking political positions, endorsing political candidates, and presenting political programs unless we can fairly present both sides of an issue. The introduction of guests is also impacted by our non-political stance. Candidates for public office are welcome as guests at our meetings. It's wonderful to meet them, but no reference to the fact that they are running for a political office should be made during the announcement or the introduction, because it would or could be perceived as an endorsement. Although some of our rules seem trivial or unimportant, it would be difficult to argue against the fact that Rotary's non-religious and non-political stances have served the organization well over the years. By remaining neutral on religious and political matters, Rotary has not only outlived 2 world wars and numerous religiously and politically motivated conflicts, it has in fact had a tremendously positive worldwide impact. Today, we are one year shy of our 120th anniversary as a worldwide organization. We are 1.2 million members strong in more than 220 countries on 6 continents. These members provide a mind-blowing average of 47 million volunteer hours per year and have been responsible for more than $4 billion in grants to fight illiteracy and poverty, to help people get access to clean water and sanitation, to fight disease and to protect the planet. We obviously have a good thing going here, and we need to keep it going. So thank you for listening and for doing your part in keeping Rotary healthy and strong.
Thank you. All right, so what we're all here for today is for our speaker. So with that, Melanie Garcia, would you please introduce her?
10 years ago, the Wayne County Community Foundation started a program called the Youth Foundation, the brainchild of former Executive Director Frank Relly. The purpose of the program is to teach high school students how community foundations operate and for the purpose of getting them engaged in local structured philanthropy. During the academic year, students meet once a month at an area nonprofit organization to get a better understanding of why the organization exists, how it serves the community, and how they can get involved. They also learn essential leadership skills, the impact of local charitable giving, and how investments grow charitable funds. In short, the Youth Foundation builds a pipeline of future engaged citizens, nonprofit board members, and philanthropic leaders. One of these leaders is our speaker today. Izy Meshew is a senior at Norwayne High School, and she graduated from the Youth Foundation program last year. To be truthful, the Youth Foundation can't take credit for Izy being a leader. It was pretty evident the first day we met that she was already well on her way. But she did make some interesting connections during her time in Youth Foundation that got her from Creston to Honduras. But she can tell her story best. So please give a warm Rotary welcome to Izy Meshew.
Hello, everybody. As you heard, my name is Izy Meshew, but a lot of people who know me call me Izzy. In October of 2023, I was asked to speak at the Wayne County Community Foundation's annual dinner. I did not anticipate being asked to speak in front of any more groups. However, here I am now as an 18-year-old senior in high school, sharing my story and experiences with countless individuals. I started my last speech with the following introduction. Many of you are probably thinking, why her? Why are we going to listen to a 17-year-old for the next 20 minutes? Believe me when I say I'm still trying to figure out those exact answers. As time has come and gone, I think I finally understood why individuals want me to share who I am. I'm not the average teen. I would like to begin by stating that I am not normal. But what is normal? I've grown up with local law enforcement as my second family, having been driven to school throughout my childhood in a police car, as well as having a dad who is a police chief. This resulted in me becoming extremely mature for my age, being aware of the world we live in, and overcoming stereotypes of being in a law enforcement family. Additionally, I learned to always keep my head on a swivel and observe my surroundings. Not only do I have a dad in law enforcement, and believe me, that comes with some challenges, but I also have a learning disability. Ever since I was little, I have struggled with reading, writing, spelling, and comprehension, thus resulting in having an IEP, individual education plan. Unfortunately, something that is intended to help a student comes with negative repercussions, doing unnecessary testing, being called dumb or stupid by classmates, being looked down upon as if I'm less than. All of this would result in me coming home bawling my eyes out at least once a week. After several years of hardship, I've come to the realization I just learn differently than others. Being different or doing something different does not make you dumb, stupid, or an outcast. That's when I began challenging myself academically to prove not only to those around me, but to myself that I am capable of achieving anything I put my mind to. Now that you know a little bit about my background, let's dig into my story, the whole reason I'm speaking to you all today. Everything has transpired into what it is now due to the fact that COVID-19 ruined my 8th grade year, my last year of school prior to high school. All the fun and exciting parts of my 8th grade year were taken away from us. We missed out on a highly anticipated yearly school trip to Washington, D.C., the annual rocket launching day at the park, as well as our 8th grade graduation. While all these events were quite upsetting to miss, something even more devastating happened due to COVID. I realized that the friend group I was a part of was not who I wanted to continue to be associated with. Going into my 9th grade year, this resulted in me becoming extremely lonely and eventually depressed. I quit all sports I was involved in. School no longer interests me. I felt lost without friends, as if there was no reason for me to live anymore. My parents realized my isolation and withdrawn behavior, so we went to the doctor as well as a counselor to seek help. Towards the end of my ninth grade year, it came time to begin scheduling for classes for the upcoming 10th grade school year. I anticipated taking the easiest classes possible, as the first class I signed up for was the digital design class. Other students were saying it was an easy A, and you didn't have to do much. Once I heard that, I was like, sold, sign me up. However, it was not my teacher's plan to just let me sit and do absolutely nothing in class, so he put me to work. If it wasn't for my teacher, Jeff Snur, pushing me, I truly don't know where I would be right now. He practically dragged me by the ear and set me in front of the computer to start tinkering with ideas. As time went on, I began to realize that I actually really enjoyed being in this crazy class. One of the machines in the class is a laser engraver. This machine was where I was spending most of my times using to create projects. One day I asked Mr. Snur, whatever, how much one of these machines cost, because in my mind, I thought this would be a fun side business. To my surprise, this particular laser engraver costs upwards of $25,000. When I heard that number, my jaw practically hit the ground and all my hopes and dreams were gone. However, he told me not to get discouraged because there are more cost-efficient machines. Before I knew it, we were on a field trip to Smithville High School to see their laser engraver. This field trip was where I met my now business partner, Barry Romick. Barry nonchalantly gave me his business card. Neither of us thought we would be in the position we are today, but here we are. As I continue speaking, you will begin to realize what exactly I mean when I say here we are today. Several months after Barry and I's initial interaction, we decided to have a sit-down conversation at his facility, also known as the Romick Foundation Makerspace. This was intended to be an extremely informal meeting, but it resulted in me leaving that evening with a job. As of now, I've been working at the Romick Foundation Makerspace as a manager for a little over a year and a half. I oversee projects, manage another employee, spearhead the 3D printer lending library, and attempt to keep Barry on task. In doing so, I've been exposed to and developed a passion for helping the community through philanthropy giving, STEAM education, highly encouraging entrepreneurship, and working with individuals with disabilities. Ironically enough, prior to being involved with the foundation, I spent the majority of my free time at the school in the multi-handicap classroom. Within the classroom, I would organize and execute crafts for the students to do. Some of these projects consisted of personal take-home items, while others were geared towards helping the community. Being involved at the multi-handicap classroom not only brought joy and purpose into my life, but I also made an impact on those students. I took time to get to know each individual student and let them know they too are important in this society. Sadly, little to no one else other than the classroom staff was doing this within the school system. I was honored by one of the students to be his escort to the Night to Shine dance. This night was truly a night I will never forget. The 2024 Night to Shine dance was held last Friday night at Grace Church. I was able to participate again this year, and was truly amazing. Not only did I have a fantastic evening at Night to Shine, but I also had a wonderful time at my own high school prom in 2023. I was escorted by 2 other students from the multi-handicap classroom. While I do not have a disability even remotely comparable to those individuals, I do understand the feeling of exclusion. Denise Followay, the teacher within this classroom, does a remarkable job making the students feel as though they are equals to everyone else. I have never understood how lucky I am to be able to speak, see, hear, and function what we call normally, until I began viewing the world through the eyes of others. As time passed, I became involved in helping various Wayne County nonprofit organizations with projects related to their missions. Throughout this whole experience, I fell in love with the world of philanthropy. Providing others with the support needed to bring ideas and dreams to life is an amazing feeling. Part of the joy of philanthropy that I have experienced is coming to understand much of what is often happening behind the scenes in our community. I feel so privileged to be playing a small role in so many impressive initiatives. Barry began realizing the personal fulfillment that philanthropy was giving me, so he suggested that I became a part of the Wayne County Community Youth Foundation. The Youth Foundation was a once-a-month commitment for 10 months. At each of these meetings, I made a point to introduce myself to the director of each organization. In doing so, new relationships were formed through the Romic Foundation Makerspace, one of which being a newer nonprofit organization called Includability. Their overall goal is to have emergency evacuation procedures in local businesses, but with their main focus being schools. The mission truly resonated with me, which resulted in further discussion between myself and the director about me becoming a board member. The ironic part of all of this is my first board member meeting for Includability is tonight. Although this is not the only connection I made through the Youth Foundation, it is definitely one of my favorites. While attending the monthly meetings, I made a point to introduce myself to the director of each organization. In doing so, new relationships were formed. The majority of these organizations do not have an enormous amount of financial resources. So through the Romic Foundation Makerspace, we are able to provide these organizations with items for their upcoming fundraisers or events. As time went on, Barry and I realized that we were having a tremendous amount of fun together doing this. The gears began to turn in our heads, which resulted with the idea of providing other organizations with similar equipment to be able to create their own items. Ironically enough, within the same week of our idea transpiring, there was a Youth Foundation meeting being held at the Orville Boys and Girls Clubs. Prior to the meeting starting, I introduced myself to whom I thought was the director of the organization. We began talking about how a 3D printer would be extremely educational, so I shared our new idea. After the meeting began, the director, who was not the woman I was just speaking with, introduced Kathy Cheek. Come to find out, the individual I was speaking with was actually the director of CAMO, Central America Medical Outreach. I soon realized that the interaction I just had could lead somewhere I never imagined. Fast forward a few months to when I began brainstorming the possibility of granting CAMO's trade school connection in Honduras with roughly $5,000 worth of equipment. The grant would include 5 pieces of high-tech equipment, as well as the needed software and materials to go along with it. We are now calling this new initiative the Mini Makerspace. Due to the connections made through the Wayne County Community Youth Foundation, I was able to travel to Honduras in mid-October 2023. While in Honduras, I taught the local trade school instructors how to operate, perform routine maintenance, and execute amazing projects on 5 items of high-tech equipment. These include a 3D printer, CNC router, Cricut vinyl cutter, sublimation printer, heat press, and laser engraver. I will now share with you my experience and some stories from when I was in Honduras. October 14th, 2023 had finally arrived and we were ready to head to Santa Rosa de Gilpin, Honduras. Our whole team, which consisted of myself, my mom, Sarah, an employee of mine at the Makerspace, Lydia, and my previous digital design teacher, Jessner, were all ready and excited to take on this new adventure. On our first day, we went for a tour of CAMO, the hospital, trade school, as well as the women's shelter. We had just arrived at CAMO when Kathy, the director, informed us of a bus accident 15 minutes out of town. The CAMO team was called to assist by the local firefighters, as the bus was filled with illegal immigrants and they did not want to go to the hospital for fear of being sent back. Very sad to hear this happen, however, happy to see the American volunteers step into action and assist those in need. While that was happening, the rest of us continued our tours. The hospital has come a long way from where it was. However, nothing like the hospitals in the US. Our next stop was at the trade school, where we were able to see the, the bare shell of the makerspace. We spent some time organizing, bringing in tables, and setting up machines. While working on setting up, I managed to slice my finger open, but it was no problem, since I follow my grandpa's motto, it isn't a project unless you bleed. The start of our week-long training session began as we, thank you. The start of our week-long training session began as we started on our hike to the trade school. While we had all the machines and supplies needed to teach, we did not have internet access at the time. Class still went on with the help of some of the students using their phones as hotspots. Through the week, we got to know our amazing students within the class. I don't think I stopped laughing while teaching. Well, maybe when I took a quick nap while one of my other team members were teaching a section of the class. I was given the opportunity to go to Dulce Nombre, a neighboring city to Santa Rosa, with Joseph, the trade school director. He was meeting with the mayor to hand out certificates to students who had completed the welding class. While I was waiting for Joseph to do his thing, I used my phone to communicate and become friends with a 15-year-old. I asked him to play tic-tac-toe while we waited. Funny enough, I thought this young man was waiting on a parent, not realizing he was 15 years old, and the youngest student to complete the welding program. The young man asked the mayor to give me one of the street lights they created in class. He hoped I would be able to bring it back to the States with me, but instead we left it at the trade school to be hung in my honor. The young man's overall hope was to give me the light so I would never forget my time in Honduras. High on my bucket list while in Honduras was to play soccer with some local kids. One day as we were exiting the trade school, some little boys, chicos, were playing soccer outside. Our translator was able to ask them if they minded if I played as well. They graciously allowed me to join. Once we were all done, I thanked the children by saying, "Gracias, chicos," as I was leaving. While going through my notes from my trip, I found this note my mom wrote that I wanted to share with you all. This is an experience I am beyond grateful for, and I will never forget. Izy did an amazing job going with the flow, not getting stressed out and putting herself out there to make new friends. She has definitely shown she doesn't need me by her side. However, didn't mind me by her side either. I can't wait to see what the future holds for Izy and her journeys in life. We are beyond proud of her and the hard work and growth she has shown over the past 3 years. COVID changed Izy, but she is shining bright and has a bright future ahead. Sarah Meshew. The friends and connections that I made while in Honduras is something I will never experience before. Those individuals were always happy, smiling, and offering kindness to us. I was able to leave as we were, I was so sad to leave as we truly made some great friendships there in Santa Rosa de Copan. I truly cannot express enough how much fun we had and the impact Santa Rosa has had on me personally. Moving forward, the Romic Foundation Makerspace is looking forward to granting other local nonprofit organizations with the mini makerspace. We even anticipate doing a yearly out-of-country grant in hopes to bless as many individuals and communities as possible. Without being a part of the Wayne County Community Youth Foundation, some of the opportunities that I have been presented with and some of the connections that I have made would not have been possible. I am so grateful for the experience that I have had with being a part of the Wayne County Community Youth Foundation. Thank you. I will now open the floor for any questions. I have none, really. Yeah, of course.
You said before, we were talking, you were going to college with Wayne. So what are your kind of plans next?
Yeah, so I go to Norwayne High School, but I actually don't step foot in there at all. I take all my classes through Wayne County, I can't think of it. Wayne College, yeah, thank you. And I'm pursuing a major in business management while minoring in entrepreneurship.
Where's the next place that you like to do?
So Melanie asked where the next place we might be doing an international makerspace at. And as of now, we're looking at Ethiopia, Africa.
So I was struck by your description of signing up for the class because you thought it was going to be an easy day.
Yeah.
So what would you tell other students, you know, they're not that far removed from them in age, and you know that peers often listen to peers a lot better than they do other adults. What would you tell other students when they're looking to take a class that is quote unquote just for an easy A.
Yeah, especially if you have, and just like don't work with a regular school system and you don't learn the same way as others, especially having that hands-on interaction with woodworking and STEAM education. It was truly amazing to just be able to experience something new and something that I would have never thought would have fallen to my career path. And especially with just becoming an engineer, those individuals could really benefit with other hands-on interactions.
So Izzy,
Yes.
how far along in college are you already?
I have taken 16 credits so far, just through being in high school. I still have a long ways to go, and it's definitely not something I enjoy, but I'll hopefully eventually have a degree.
One thing that I love about you is that you started that program at your local high school with the other kids. And do you have any ideas for starting more of that in other schools, or when you leave Norway, and now that you're not there every day, are there other students that maybe can start a club?
Are you saying within the digital design class?
Yes.
Okay.
And special needs.
so- Yeah, especially combining those two. So the teacher, Jeff Snur, he originally said, hey, Izzy, they really want to do this project, but they kind of need someone to spearhead it. And so I was more than happy to go, and we actually were building birdhouses with those individuals in the multi-handicap classroom. And from there, it just transpired into realizing that I truly enjoyed being in that classroom with those individuals. And so I tell my little brother all the time, because he stops in and says hello to the teacher, said, you need to get to know those individuals. You need to be able to walk by and say, hi, Julie, how are you? Hi, Jenny, how are you? So just being able to connect with those individuals is probably the most important thing.
So the class that you left in Honduras, is there an opportunity for them to make money off of the things they made?
Yes, so the equipment they have can allow them to go into production with some items and then be able to sell them. And so they've already started making keychains to sell, as well as tumblers. As time goes on, they probably will be able to get higher tech equipment to be able to go in further into production with it. And that was something that Camo was looking forward to be able to bring in some revenue and income, not only for Camo, but for the trade school as well. I don't know.
Will you tell everybody about the 3D printing that you did in Honduras and how it helped people?
Oh, yes. So they have these, I believe it was respirator systems in the hospital, and they needed these little adapter pieces, but they had none. And so they came to us during dinner one night, and Kathy was just beyond excited to tell us this idea. And from there, my team members, Jeff and Lydia, were able to create a 3D printed design through the CAD program and be able to create these adapter pieces that they needed. And it's now being able to save lives throughout Honduras.
I wanted to share something about this amazing young girl. She not only helps young groups fundraising, she is on the Fraternal Order of Police Association, which I'm a member too, and she helped in getting tumblers engraved and other things that we could raise money for the Fraternal Order of Police so that we can give back to our community. So thanks to you for helping us for that too. So she helps all groups.
Yep. So I'm now a board member for the Fraternal Order of Police Associate Lodge, and we just did a recent apparel fundraiser with sweatshirts as well as tumblers that I was able to do at the makerspace on my own time. I think I arrived at like 8 p.m. one night, and Barry looks outside like, what the heck is she doing? And I was there probably till midnight, just jamming out to some music, getting stuff done. And I was more than happy to be able to do that for the organization.
Alrighty, thank you. You have an amazing story and you're truly an inspiration, especially for those young. And we look forward to you coming back in a few years and hearing where you're at and what you're doing and sharing your story even more. So with that, I should have this memorized by now, but I really don't. So in appreciation of your time with us today, we'd like to present you with this rendition of the Rotary Wheel with the four-way test on the back. You can try and make something even similar. That this is made locally by the students of the Village Network. So thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the guests that are here with us today. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. I know I did. That was absolutely amazing and inspirational. And I even have a daughter with an IEP. So I was tearing up. I mean, I'm an emotional mess. And she's a freshman and she's getting to that high school. Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay. So next week, we will hear from Captain Doug Hunter about a community emergency, about our community emergency response team. And then March 7th, make sure you guys get your tickets for our wine and bourbon tasting and bring some guests. So if you have some people that are interested that you think would be interested in joining Rotary, don't even have to join Rotary, just want to hear more about us. We'd love you to bring them. March 25th will be our offsite to the Wooster Brush. So make sure you kind of plan that out. And then our every Rotarian every year, make sure you guys sign up or bring your money in for that as well. Again, doesn't need to be, the dollar amount doesn't matter, as we just like to see the participation. That is what it matters. So mark that down. The deadline for that is March 4th. So every week you come, just bring it in. We would love to see it. So with that, we stand adjourned.